Andras Napier was drenched in sweat despite the several air conditioners blowing frosted air into the courtroom. In front of him sitting in the witness stand was Mrs. Hill, the grief on her face accentuated by the mascara running down her cheeks, a result of her tears as she spoke. He never did understand it, wearing makeup when going to testify in court or speaking on a painful topic. He let out a silent groan of pain as his stomach twisted and burnt, the food he had forced down his throat before the trial causing his insides to act up. Holding back the urge to throw up, he looked up as his name was called by the lawyer. Standing up, he made his way to the bench, ignoring the gazes of anger and pity that the jury and members of the courthouse sent his way. Placing his hand on the Bible presented to him, he swore the oath to tell the truth and then took his seat before the lawyer asked him to recount the details of that day, that one bad day. He had been on patrol when he received a call over the radio about a gathering at an abandoned warehouse. Probably teenagers throwing a party, he thought to himself as he drove towards the location, his body moving on pure muscle memory born from navigating every possible nook and cranny of the sprawling city. Pulling to a halt at the warehouse, he was greeted by the deep thumping of music that pounded against his bones, set his teeth on edge and confirmed his suspicions long before the drunken cheers reached his ears. A party. He reached for the radio to inform the station that it was just kids having fun, his call never made as the sound of gunfire and screams came from within the warehouse. Protocol demanded that he radio for backup, but before he knew it, he was barging through the door of the warehouse, gun in hand and the scream of, "Police," leaving his lips he yelled out as he ushered panicked teens out of the door and to safety. The crowd whipped into a frenzy by another gunshot formed the assailant. He paused his recounting, his words interrupted by a lance of pain tearing through his stomach and drawing an audible groan of pain from him. Opening the court-provided bottle of water, he took a long drink, his eyes watching the full court who hadn't come here for the truth, but had simply come to see him hang. He knew that he would be found guilty. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore. Putting the bottle down, he took a deep breath to calm himself and then continued his recollection. The air was thick with the smell of marijuana, sweat, alcohol, gunpowder, and blood. The gun of the assailant had gone off multiple times and with each shot, a body dropped to the floor. Andras stalked the warehouse, the strobing lights causing spots to bloom in across his vision, his heart beating with the fear and forbidden inadmissible thrill of being engaged in a deadly game of hide-and-seek with a killer he didn't know. Every face he came across holding the potential to be the killer, every corner turned probably his last. The shooter's gun had gone off multiple times already, each one punctuated by a cry of pain that was quickly silenced or simply nothing at all but the thud of a body hitting the floor. "Found you," he thought to himself as he rushed towards the location, his shoulder smashing down the door that kept him from his quarry, his weapon raised and trained on the back of the only standing figure in the room, the killer, he thought. "Police! Drop your weapon, turn round and get down on the ground." Andras snarled as he took off his gun's safety, ready to put rounds in this monster should they so much as twitch wrong. His eyes quickly glanced around the room, counting 6 bodies on the floor, each one still, cold, dead. Turning his eyes back to the figure, he cautiously took one step closer, his voice harsh, angry, raw. "I said drop your weapon, put your hands on the back of your head, turn around and get on the ground," he demanded again, his cautious steps bringing him closer and closer to the shooter. His foot kicks against a discarded bottle, sending it rolling past the shooter and towards the wall. That for some reason got the shooter's attention more than the shouting had. The figure turned round slowly, their eyes wide in surprise and, was that fear? Confusion? It didn't matter right now. "Good, now slowly drop your weapon and get on the ground," he said again, his mouth dry as he took another step forward, the distance between them shortening with each cautious step. Snarled as he slowly inched forward to the teen. "Just put the weapon down and cooperate," he said, the strobing lights and rhythmic thumping of the music causing a dull roar in the back of his head, his vision swimming as his eyes combated the pulsating lights. The lights flickered and the teen reached into his jacket pocket. Andras's body moved before his mind could catch up, his fingers pulling the trigger and his hands moving to adjust the aim. 2 to the chest and 1 to the head like he'd practiced for years. Each one accurate, deadly, their impact marked by the jolt of the teen's body and the bloom of red flowers. Breathing slowly, Andras walked over to the downed teen and used his foot to push him onto his back, his eyes locking with vacant dead ones. Crouching down, he reached into the pocket of the teen for the weapon, only to pull out a death card, bile rising as he realized what he had done. His vision blurred with tears and panic, and the next thing he knew, he was handcuffed to a hospital bed while the TV blared about his murder spree.
Finishing his recollection, he stared into the gathered crowd, and all he saw were the same rage-filled, sad, doubtful eyes. They all knew what this was. This whole trial was a sham. They knew he was innocent, but the people demanded a face to the crime, a target for their rage. And with the killer gone, he was tossed to the wolves. His 30 years of dedication to the town's safety, the bullets he'd taken for them, the sleepless nights, all for nothing. It all meant nothing. His life, his deeds, all gone.
He reached to his breast pocket and pulled out a gold and blue pen, brown eyes drinking in every detail of it, his mind going back to when he first received it. It was given to him by his father the day he joined the force, the same way it was handed to his father by his grandfather, and his grandfather by his great-grandfather. The pen he had planned to hand to his son when the time came, whether or not he joined the force. Guilty, he heard the jury give their verdict, not even bothering to go into deliberation. It was to be expected. He placed the pen onto the table, nodding to the officer who stood guard over him, a silent message to pass it to his son if he hadn't already left the town with his mom, both unable to stand the scandal. Not that he could blame them. His thoughts churned as he was led out of the court, deaf to the questions, the roars, the jeers, and even the rare burst of outrage on his behalf. His career, his name, his legacy. Gone. Not in a hail of bullets, not in a bust gone wrong. All it took to lose everything was one bad day.